Another week, another book, and we have here the Fifth Agreement, and my light is so bright I'm gonna turn it down. So here is the Fifth Agreement, and I don't know, I have like a mixed perspective on this book. For one, if you haven't read the Fourth Agreement yet, reading the Fifth Agreement will get you there, and it's fine. For two, I prefer the Fourth Agreement over the Fifth Agreement. The Fourth Agreement felt like a book that was just like wholehearted, like the person really put their heart into the book. This one seemed more like a gimmick, like I seen how great my other book did, let me throw something else out there, because it's almost like the Fourth Agreement is in here. And before I even read it, because my husband bought this for me, I wouldn't have bought it, but my husband bought it for me, so I went ahead and I read it. It's a quick read. It's literally like a day read. I usually read them in 2 days. Like I'll read them one evening and then the next morning I'll finish it off. But it could literally be like a 1-day read. It's really quick, lots of information. Anyhow, like before I read it, I'm like, how is the book about the same size as the Fourth Agreement? How does the Fifth Agreement have, like the other book we had 4 in there and this one we have 5, but it's because I want to say for at least half the book it's talking about the 4 agreements, and then the rest of the book is like the Fifth Agreement. The book is very repetitive, with the person getting out their message, which could be good and bad for me, like because I like have the mind of like a fruit fly. Repetitive can kind of just be like helping me, take in the information, but for other people who got it, it would be like, man, if you repeat this one more time, we're gonna have a problem, type of thing. But if I wouldn't have read the Fifth Agreement, it may have been a little bit better. Or if I wouldn't have read the Fourth Agreement, the Fifth Agreement might have been a little bit better. But since I read the Fourth Agreement, I'm just like, And then, like I said, it seemed like they were more so pushing a narrative instead of speaking from their heart, which is what I felt more in the Fourth Agreement. And then in general, with all the agreements, they're great. They're spot on. They're beautiful. They are ways of life to strive for. But I was telling my husband, like, in a utopia world where everything could be perfect, like, yeah, this works. But unfortunately, our brains are wired a certain way. And when we deal with traumatic experiences, to a degree, we can follow these rules, but you cannot just sit and pretend like trauma didn't occur. There is a purpose to go through the trauma. There's a purpose to kind of dwell on things. I don't want to say stay stuck in your trauma. You have time to grieve and things like that, your trauma, but you can't just like, oh, okay, that happened, type thing. Like, yeah, in a perfect world, we all wish we could do that, and then we wouldn't be bothered and we can go on and not worry about things. But even with that, we wouldn't, like, we as humans need people, and we wouldn't be able to be around a lot of people, because let's face it, almost everybody in your life at one point or time has disappointed you, some more than others. You've disappointed yourself, and he talks about that too, like not beating yourself up, but it's hard not to. You can get your mind to a certain point, but then we're going to be suppressing our emotions at a certain point as well, and just the way that the brain works and operates, that's not healthy for you either. So I just don't know how practical this book is. For some things are, maybe 50% of your problems in your life, like, yeah, you can follow this rules, or maybe even more than 50%, maybe 80%, 90%, you can follow these rules depending on how much trauma you've had. But when something is a very traumatic experience, it's hard to do this. And he even says in here, like, we update a lot of things, but we haven't really updated the psychology. And I know in general, like, the psychological things that have been researched and stuff like that are more so based on white males. And with that, there's so many factors that go into things that we need more research for women, for people of color, and things like that. Everything is not just based on the white male's experience and how they do things. We're not all created equal with our brain chemistry. Even with men versus women, like, our brains just operate differently. Like, it's not gonna work, and then culturally our brains are going to be set up a little bit different as well. So maybe the psychology of things haven't been updated, and that would be nice. But I do see people doing the work who are maybe not therapists, but just like collectively, like on the internet, learning things and putting things out there, and it goes with that. But just the practicality of this book, I don't know, like, people hype up the fourth agreement. I haven't heard too many hype up the fifth, but I don't know. It's just to take it with a grain of salt type thing for me. Like I said, I enjoyed the fourth agreement. Even with that, I'm a little sketchy on like how much of that you can apply to your everyday life. But definitely with the fifth agreement, it kind of gave me the icks a little bit. But that's all I have for this book, and until the next read, bye.